welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Tayana and I run the blog housewiferebellion.net. In today's video I wanted to show you some of the staple ingredients that we buy healthier alternatives of to create a less toxic pantry. So to start off with, we have flour. The flour that we buy is a white stone ground organic flour that is untreated, unbleached and traditionally milled. So unlike the flours that you'll find in a supermarket, unless stated otherwise, they've been given chemicals such as nitrogen oxide, chlorine dioxide and others that will chemically bleach the flour. And the great thing about this one is that it isn't given any chemicals to bleach the flour, but also the wheat is organically and sustainably grown. The next thing is sugars and alternative sweeteners. So the sugar cane naturally contains minerals, vitamins and nutrients that the human body absorbs and we use as energy. But when we refine sugar to create white sugar, we put it through a chemical process that it takes away all of those properties and we're left with something called sucrose. And sucrose is basically a sweetener that adds no nutritional value to our meals and to our body. So the alternatives that we use are organic unrefined raw sugar, and this is a great alternative to white sugar or raw sugar. The next thing that we use is an organic coconut sugar, and coconut sugar is known to contain minerals and fibres that are good for the body. I just want to read something from the label that explains coconut sugar really well. So it's the evaporated nectar from the flower of organically grown coconut palm trees, and the coconut sugar is made with minimal processing. It's a perfect alternative to refined sugars. So that is something else that I use for baking. And another great couple of alternatives is organic maple syrup. So maple syrup is known to contain lots of antioxidants as well, so that's a good alternative to use. And the last one is raw local honey, so it's just 100% honey and it's a great alternative for sweetening up our meals. The next thing that we buy is free-range eggs. So in New Zealand you can buy 4 different types of eggs. We have caged eggs, caged-free eggs, free-range eggs and free-range organic. So we'll switch between free-range and free-range organic. Some supermarkets don't sell free-range organic, so it just depends on which supermarket I'm going to. But we buy free-range eggs because they have more nutritional value and they contain more vitamins, and it also means that we have a happier chicken compared to chickens that are kept in cages in really refined spaces and are fed grains. The next thing that we buy is grass-fed butter. So other butters that aren't grass-fed usually means that the feed for the cow contains grains, corn and soy, and typically these feeds are genetically modified ingredients. Whereas when you're buying a grass-fed butter, you're buying butter from a cow that has been eating majority of its life grass, and then you end up with a product that contains more nutrients and a happier cow. The next thing is salt. So we don't buy table salt, we only buy Himalayan pink salt or a natural sea salt. And the reason for that is, you'll notice there's a reoccurring theme going on here, is that salt is very highly processed and it's refined, whereas a salt like Himalayan pink salt or a natural sea salt is unrefined and it's a more natural alternative. The next thing that we have is oils. So I usually cook with butter, but when I use oil I will buy something like an extra virgin olive oil or a raw organic coconut oil. The reason that I don't buy cheap and expensive oils like canola oil, rice bran oil or sunflower oil is because they're factory made and they contain lots of genetically modified ingredients and basically they have no nutritional value to them. So I will buy something instead like these 2 oils, and coconut oil is a great alternative because this one for example, contains no additives, and it's a very natural option. The next alternative, which is great for baking or any sort of sweet food, is cacao powder. So instead of using cocoa powder, which is highly processed again, there's the reoccurring theme, I buy something like cacao powder, which I found does make the baking a little bit more dry, but you just add less of it because it has actually got that really strong flavour, so you don't need as much as cocoa powder. But cacao powder, if I'm right, is a superfood, so it contains lots of vitamins and nutrients and minerals that are good for the human body to absorb anyway. So cacao powder is just another great alternative to cocoa powder. The next thing that we have is milk. So the milk that we buy is an A2 non-homogenized pasteurized milk, and it is local and it gets delivered to us twice a week. So when you compare it to a pretty standard milk from a supermarket that is homogenized pasteurized, the non-homogenized just means that you're going to get a layer of cream on top of the milk because it hasn't gone through a process where, I don't really know, it's very science-based, but it mixes the cream and the milk together, so you're not getting that splitting effect like you would with a non-homogenized milk. But it is pasteurized. You can't buy raw milk from a supermarket in New Zealand. But the A2 means that the milk is easier to digest and it's more gentle on your stomach. So one of the last things that I have to show you is a plain yogurt. So if you're like me, I like to keep yogurt because I use it for things like curries and other baked goods, so it's just really good to have plain yogurt. I always have it on hand. But this is a yogurt that I recently discovered, and it's really inexpensive, so that's another great thing. But this yogurt contains no preservatives, no thickeners, it's gelatin free, and it's New Zealand made, and the milk is non-homogenized, so that just ticks all the boxes for me. So the last couple of things that I have to show you today that aren't food items is my baking paper and muffin cups. So these two items both are unbleached and chlorine free. So a lot of these healthy alternatives that I've shown you today you can find in your local supermarket. Otherwise, my town also has a Whole Foods, which is where I buy some of my ingredients from as well, and they are a great option because they sell a lot of these health foods and Whole Foods. So maybe you could see if your town also has a Whole Foods. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next one.